Okay, so thanks for returning to the next session where we're talking about the Mandelbulb 3D application source code. So what I have here is I have the Delphi IDE. IDE is Integrated Development Environment. So I have the window open, and we're on a welcome page. So what I'm going to do now, all right, now this little thing right here, this is one of the paybacks for a free community version. They will fairly regularly, they will put this screen up in front of you, all right, and you are continuously having to, yes, I agree. It's almost borderlining nagware. Yes, I agree. So sorry about that. But hey, that's real world. Nothing is free in this world. Anyway, all right. So what I've done is I've opened up the project using the Delphi IDE for the Mandelbulb3D.exe. All right. Now, if I expand this, we can see the various components that are involved with this software. And I'll just kind of scroll down here. We'll take a look. All right. So these are the various components that are encapsulated within the executable. Obviously, we're not interested in every single one. I just want to give you a 30,000-foot overview of what's under the covers of this Mandelbulb 3D software. Now, this mand.PAS, PAS stands for Pascal. Now, this mand.dfm, that is a form. So let's go into that form. We'll open that up. So if you recognize this, this is your main form of the Mandelbulb 3D software, you see? All right. We've talked about the navigator. It's right up in here. We've talked about the animations window. It's all up in there. Now, this doesn't look a whole lot like the final application that you use on a regular basis. These are basically components that are used within the form to perform certain things. This is a timer, another timer. Here's a pop-up menu component. Here's an open dialog. Okay, this is all the behind-the-scenes source code. But you recognize this information here. There's our viewing the ratio. Here is your width and your height, and here's the position panel. Okay, rotation. There's the calculate 3D button. Okay. All right. So this is a form. This is what a form looks like. Now, there's another form in here. There's a whole bunch of them, actually. But here, navigator. So let's go over, open up the navigator. So, all right, now here. Class T bracket EX not found. Ignore the error and continue, question mark. Note, ignoring the error, so on and so forth. Now, what this is telling me is, and this is one of the reasons it's virtually impossible to compile, because the Mandelbulb 3D source code relies upon what are referred to as third-party libraries. All right, and those are libraries that at the time were available for purchase, or they were open source, or maybe they were free, that would enhance the Mandelbulb 3D code with a third-party library. Now, what this is saying here is that that third-party library is no longer available. I can't blame anybody for that, because a third-party chunk of code or a library would not necessarily have a license that would permit the Mandelbulb3D developers to distribute that around. So a third-party library, it probably would not be included in the source code of an application that it was used within. So what this is saying is that there is something missing that is not available in the source code. It could also mean that a reference is broken where the Delphi environment does not understand where that library might be somewhere in the project. More than likely, it's a missing library because it couldn't be distributed because of licensing, and it's also possible that it's a broken reference. We are not here to fix the Mandelbulb3D software development environment. We're here to poke around. I'm going to ignore that. All right, so here, this is the navigator window. All right, and you recognize the animation move buttons, okay? And here, this is where the formulas could be adjusted. So there we go. So that's the navigation form. Let's see if we can find another form. How about, let's see, how about the formulas form? Oh, here we go. Here's the light. They're calling it light adjust form. There's a missing library again. Ignore it. So there is our lighting panel, and you recognize all of that. There's your light sources. Here's the light angle. Here's your object, your ambient, okay, and so on and so forth. So these are forms. All right. Let's see what else might be interesting here. All right. Now all of these PASs here, those are code. Those are code modules. Let's see if I can find formulas. Formula parser. Okay, what do we got here? Formula parser.dfm. Okay, all right. That's a script editor, which we didn't talk about in the series. Maybe we will at some point. All right, let's see. Oh, boy, I'll tell you, where is that? Oh, here's the color picker. That should be interesting. A missing library or a bad reference. You recognize that. That's where we had the color band or the bar. All right, and we can move our colors around. All right, so this is giving us a pretty good idea what the forms look like. Now, I still haven't found the formula. No, that's navigator. This is like anything else, you know, when you're working with a project like this, in time, you get to understand where all the components are. All right. Now, I still have not found where the formulas, and I wonder, no, okay, that's the main form. Here's the navigator. Okay, here's the lighting panel. Oh, that's scripting. We didn't talk about that. Okay. All right, I'll tell you what. We are running out of time in this session. When we come back, let's take a look at some of the code. That should be interesting. Okay. So I'll see you in the next session.